We're in East Wenatchee this morning to bring you this edition of In Focus. We have our Douglas County Commissioners joining us today, and to my immediate left we have Mark Straub, and then we have Dan Sutton and Kyle Steinberg, all three joining us here at the Land and Transportation Building here in East Wenatchee. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Steve.
Good morning.
So,
Good morning.
Day after the big game, you happy with the results?
Yes. It was a good game.
It was a good game. Good game.
Great. Nobody lost any money then.
No,
Quite the contrary.
Okay, well, I notice you have a full agenda this week, going forward for this week. Anything specific on the agenda this week, or action that you'll be taking of significance that you want your constituents to know about? First of all, Mark.
No, not really. We will be addressing coming up on the 18th, opening up, we'll have a public hearing talking about opening our collective bargaining negotiations for, to the public. And so that's forthcoming, but that hearing will be on the 18th. So.
Which group are you going to be negotiating with?
That opens it up to all of our negotiation.
All negotiated contracts, all parties that would be involved in that. We want to increase transparency and make that information available to interested parties. All monies that are spent via negotiated contracts, they're taxpayer dollars. And when you're involving taxpayer dollars, I think it's really important to at least offer them the opportunity to see what's going on in the negotiations. And it also helps protect the labor side of the issue in that they know that everybody is negotiating in good faith.
So are the labor are the collective bargaining units all on board with that process, being upfront and
we sent out notification. We didn't want to try to, sideswipe them or give them any unexpected or unanticipated issues moving forward. So we made sure that we included them specifically and in mailers and with our agreements ahead of time, so they had an opportunity to review everything. So, we weren't just trying to do this through the public, meeting process. We gave them the courtesy of actually giving them all the information ahead of time. Like Dan said, though, it is really about transparency. And, one of the things with transparency is we want to be transparent to our, employees as well that work here. That we want them to see, what we're, offering them, in the collective bargaining, arrangement. And if everybody's operating in good faith, being transparent, there should be absolutely no issue with it. The only time I could see anybody having an issue with being transparent is if they were trying to do something underhanded, and we have no intentions of trying to do that, so we have no problem being transparent.
And quite frankly, we are not the first jurisdiction to be doing this. You've got Spokane, most recently Spokane, the city of Spokane, Spokane County, Lincoln County, Kittitas County, and a number of others. So we all believe in transparency and being open, and I think it's going to be a good thing.
From the county standpoint, what do you see as the big labor issues going forward this year?
Well, we're done with our negotiations,
Right.
So this is really realistically positioning us for a couple of years down the road when the next negotiations start. And I think the biggest thing that I see as being a benefit for our labor is just the clear and concise communication, being transparent. There won't be any he said or she said because of closed door negotiations. Mm-hmm. It'll be open and for everybody to interpret how they heard or saw. We want to know, like I said, when we get up here, we plan to bargain in good faith for the county and the employees, and the meetings will be open and transparent now, so they will be entitled to come and witness it firsthand.
So how would you describe Douglas County as a place to work?
Well, we obviously think it's an excellent place to work. We have great employees, great tenure, and we're blessed to have the employees that we do have, and we certainly believe that we have, to the extent that we can, do everything that we can do to maintain those employees. Because if you have a consistent, good set of employees, you're going to have a good outcome for your constituents, good service levels.
How does Douglas County compare with other counties around the state in terms of like-sized
Well, I participate in WASAC, so I'm over there every other week during session, and I sit down with all 39 counties as a group, and we discuss any of the political issues or bills, initiatives, et cetera, that might be impacting the county. We also talk about our counties, and one of the things that I really appreciate is coming back to Douglas County, because not every county out there operates as well and efficiently as Douglas County does. You get to hear, for lack of a better term, some of the dirty laundry out there, and it makes me smile, because we come back to our county and we've got great people. We have great employees, we've got a great team. Our county administrator has done a wonderful job of building an excellent organization.
That's a nice vote of confidence there for your administrator. Want to touch on another topic. Of course, the Douglas County PUD Board of Commissioners has taken its final action on revised rates for cryptocurrency and data centers. I know that Kyle, you were quite vocal in your concerns early on during that process about, again, a lack of transparency in your thinking, and in the thinking of the Port Authority as well, apparently. Your thoughts now, following their final action?
Sure, yeah, there was definitely a concern initially about the lack of transparency, the final timeline. I think some of the comments made by their commissioners, I'd question them for them to say that we just weren't paying attention and they weren't trying to push something through at the end of the year, scheduling public meetings and public hearings, before Christmas and essentially on holiday, that, if we'd been paying attention, to quote them, that we would have understood these things were coming forth. I think we and I, disagreed necessarily with their decision. Don't think the PUD should be picking winners and choosers. And if they don't want to offer, continue to offer, the lowest and most competitive rates out there for business, they should quit advertising that they're doing so. It's all over all of their, websites and everywhere else. I think there could be a lot of unintended consequences. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And I think above all else, I was just disappointed that it wasn't a more inclusive discussion when there was so much potential negative impact. And I think there was a lot to learn from a lot of different avenues that could be affected, or entities that could be affected. And I'm just not sure that it was, in my opinion, and I guess I'm entitled to that, and they're entitled to theirs, and they're entitled to do what they want with their commission and their utility. But I just don't think it was an inclusive process. I think a lot of people were disenfranchised, and I don't think they wanted it to be an inclusive process. They felt they were just entitled to do what they want, and I suppose they are. But I think that anytime you're making a decision that could impact the entire county as a whole, I don't think it would hurt to be inclusive. So I'm disappointed in the process. I'm disappointed in the outcome. I'm disappointed in their lack of communication. I'm disappointed in the fact that they weren't inclusive, that the only time there was any communication is when other agencies or ourselves reached out to them. So I guess you could just say I'm disappointed in them.
How about our other two commissioners?
For me, I think what I think people need to understand in this is that we all appreciate the 2.8 cents per kilowatt hour as a ratepayer, but we're also taxpayers. And what affects our top tier employers here, like the data centers that pay $10+ million in taxes, that is ultimately, if what affects them is going to affect the taxpayers as a whole if they are no longer or curtail their operations in Douglas County. So that will have an effect on me as a taxpayer. Now, again, I appreciate the 2.8 cents, but I also understand the bigger picture too, that we are all taxpayers, and that $10+ million, that's a big lift that these employers provide, these types of companies provide. So I guess the point is that what you do here also affects over here, and we just have to work together in our county and recognize that moving forward.
Dan?
I respect the fact that they are an elected body and that they have the right to make any decision that they see fit to the betterment of their organization, to the Douglas County PUD. And I don't see a position for us to insert ourselves into that process. That being said, having dialogue with the partners that you live with in a community is always advantageous. We are making leaps and bounds in our region, Chelan County, Douglas County, cities, county proper, in working cooperatively to achieve the best outcome. We've made strides in our community to reach across the different jurisdictional lines for a better result for everything. And I would like to think that all of the entities that participate in providing services to our residents here locally would want to sit down and have a discussion in the event that there's something out there they're not aware of that can ultimately end up providing a better result. And so I always encourage, whether it would be the PUD or the water district or the sewer district or the city or Chelan County, to be willing to participate in dialogue across the table, because if you don't have all the facts, then you're operating in a vacuum.
As it pertains, though, to that specific industry, do you think that it's wise to pursue that as an economic development possibility for Douglas County going forward? It does not create a lot of jobs. I
Well,
understand the tax base benefits to it, but
Well, it does create a lot of jobs. It
Does
might not
create-
create a lot of jobs directly. I mean, there might not be people showing up every single day to work at those facilities, but you look at all the people that are in charge of maintaining them. You look at the HVAC
contractors.
contractors that go and maintain all those cooling systems. You look at the whole slew of electricians that are out there continuously working on them, updating them, adding new equipment. And anybody who doesn't believe that, I would just encourage them right now to go drive out to Pangborn Airport and see one of the newest data centers, how many people are actively working there on a day-to-day basis, because they're continuing to add on, as I
The trickle down is
prescribed plan,
significant.
yeah. There's a lot of people that work there, maybe indirectly, and they do support the local businesses through the construction process and their ongoing and continual improvements that they're making to these facilities. So yeah, they do have a large impact on the workforce, here locally. And, I guess maybe the people that don't think that they can be a large impact to the local economy, local schools, and essentially have a local impact should maybe take a trip to Quincy and ask the people up there how positively they've impacted their local jurisdictions.
And as far as energy being an attractive marketing tool, absolutely it is. Without a doubt it is. We arguably have some of the most affordable energy in the United States and often in the world. We have a beautiful river running in front of us with hydroelectric projects on it. So as far as I'm concerned, it's renewable energy. And it is an attractive marketing tool for our community.
by the same token, data centers are a huge drain on that energy.
Well, a lot of times we have confusion over cryptocurrency mining, data centers, and other consumers of energy. And each one of them has a specific energy demand, and each one of them has a specific employment impact on the area. Data centers are not cryptocurrency miners, and it's so important to make sure that there's a distinction between the two. Whereas I applaud anybody who is an entrepreneur, regardless of whether they're cryptocurrency or data centers. There is a difference, and the data centers actually do employ, whether it's ancillary or directly, a great many people. The data centers are our Alcoa. They are a large provider of good paying jobs in this valley.
Very good.
I find it hard to believe that every like Dan just referred to, everybody talks about, when Alcoa was here, they used an immense amount of power, and I never heard about anybody complaining to them. And I would think it to be probable that our local data centers here in Douglas County positively impact just as many people as Alcoa once did. Now, they might not directly employ that many people, but I bet they positively impact that many people, and their overall positive impact on the county, I would think would be hard to argue.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, we're kind of running out of time here. I know that you have a session to get started here soon, but I would like to touch on another topic at a later time. I'd like you to prepare for that. Another major industry in the county, which is ongoing, and that is the marijuana cultivation, sales industry that's going on in this area as well. I'd like to get maybe a status report on that from you in our next meeting.
Sure.
So,
Very good.
thank you for joining us. And again, this is In Focus. I'm Steve Hare.